BeamNG Drive, a game that has given us countless hours of fun and destruction with all their cars and all their physics. But, when I am not turning my Ford Focus into a fidget spinner, or trying to break the sound barrier, I get curious. I search through each and every single menu of that game times and times over again, just to find something new to entertain myself for the next 3 hours of my evening. Until one day, I was selecting a new vehicle, and I noticed that there were two Ibishu Pessimas in the game. One seemed to be older, one seemed to be newer. This intrigued me on that day, and I decided, why don't I compare the two? So that's what we're doing. My name is Delta, and today we are going to be comparing the newer Ibishu Pessima to the older Ibishu Pessima. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Just a very quick disclaimer before we go right into the video. I just want to let you guys know I'm using the street tune variants of both Pessimas instead of the stock ones or any other ones. I am also using zero driving assist. I am not using understeer, oversteer assistance. I am not using throttle, clutch assistance. I'm using none of that. So again, I'm using the street tune variants, and I'm using no driving assist whatsoever. Our first rare comparison is going to be by the specs and the features of each vehicle. So let's start off with the old Pessima first. The old Pessima has a 2.0-liter DOHC inline-4 engine with a sport ECU, a stage 2 turbocharger, 5-speed manual transmission, 3,009 pounds, and it is all-wheel drive. However, it does lock anti-lock brakes. It currently consists of 317 pounds of torque, 328 horsepower, and a top speed of 161 miles per hour. A threat to be reckoned with. Now let's head over to the new Pessima right now. The new Pessima features a 2.7-liter V6 engine with an adjustable race ECU, a stage 1 twin turbocharger, a 5-speed manual transmission, nitrous oxide, anti-lock brakes, and it weighs a total of 2,811 pounds, and it is front-wheel drive. This all produces a total of 358 pounds of torque, 359 pounds of horsepower, and a top speed of 163 miles per hour. This thing will be scary on the streets. Now that we have the Pessimas on the road, I would like to talk about how they perform on the road, starting with the old Pessima, and we're going to start with acceleration. The old Pessima has a 0 to 60 time of 5.8 seconds, a 0 to 100 time in 11.9 seconds, and a 60 to 100 time in 6.0 seconds. I took this to the test, and it seems right about right. As I'm driving the Pessima down the curvy roads of East Coast USA, I do notice that when you get to 90 to 100 miles per hour, it starts to get a little difficult to control the vehicle on the curvy roads. I believe the lack of handling has to do with a lack of anti-lock brakes. For when you're right about to come on a curve, you have to brake on the straight, not on the curvy part, in order to successfully pass through the curve. However, you will be sacrificing a lot of speed there. So I think it would take a more experienced driver to take curves at a higher speed with this vehicle. But I would just recommend using anti-lock brakes or braking earlier right before the curve in order to avoid a collision. Now let's go and take the new Pessima for a spin. The new Pessima's acceleration times are 6.0 seconds for 0 to 60, 0 to 100 is 12.1 seconds, and 60 to 100 is 6.0 seconds, so it has slightly slower times than the older Pessima. As I am driving the new Pessima, I do notice around third gear, you can kind of greatly variate between speeds, such as you could be 60 in third gear and go right up to 80 within 2 seconds. Or you could be 80 to 100 within 2 seconds. Usually you can have it in fourth gear most of the time, because one thing I noticed with Pessima, it has much better handling on the curves of East Coast USA. For 90% of the little sprint I just did, or I'm doing right now, I am always maintaining the lowest 90 miles an hour. I'm always in the 100 miles an hour range, even on the curves. I believe the reason for this is because of the anti-lock brakes. You don't have to worry about your brakes locking up, and you can brake while your vehicle is turning. So you can brake and turn in the direction you want to go instead of braking in a straight line with your brakes locked. All in all, though, if we're just going for like a curving sprint or just driving high speed on curves, the newer Pessima is the way to go because of the superior handling compared to the old Pessima. For our next topic of comparison for the two Pessimas, I decided to do a durability test or damage test. So basically what I'm going to do is that I have my favorite car over here that I like to drive in the game, the Grand Marshal Track. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to slam into these cars at least 60 miles per hour so we get a more accurate test of if you get, front-ended or rear-ended on the highway. So without further ado, let the damage commence. And bam! Alrighty. I think I might have pushed it off the cliff. Let's see what we got. So the front of the Pessima took quite a beating. As you can see, it's very, very damaged. Don't mind the back. It kind of got hit by a tree. But I think that's the air filter. Some sort of filters heading out of the front there. The hood's all messed up. It's bent like a dome, like a triangle, like a camping tent. You can see the radiator. You can see all that stuff. The front's just deformed. Does it still drive? Yeah, it still drives. It's just kind of stuck behind the tree, so we should be all good. This time. Oh! That looked nasty. Okay. So let's look at the damage from the new Pessima from my Grand Marshal. The radiator is leaking. You can see the filter of the engine, one of the filters, right up front. The front bumper panel is kind of starting to give away. It's still attached to the vehicle, but you can see the actual frame right there behind it. One of the headlights is actually still intact. As we open up this even more of a camping tent for a hood, the engine is still intact. That's pretty good. Nothing's really just mashed inside of it or morphed inside of it. And they can still drive. That's pretty good. They have decent durability for a 60 miles per hour crash. And for our final test between the two Pessimas, I've organized my own circuit race in the West Coast, USA. It has a very good combination of straight sprints and curvy turns to test the vehicles and push them to their limits. Without further ado, let's get this race started. 3, 2, 1, go! has been finished, with the new Pessima coming in first and the old one trailing slightly behind, only by a couple seconds. That was a pretty close race between the two. Each of them had their strengths and weaknesses on different parts of the track. Old Pessima excelled at the straights and sprint down pretty well, while the new Pessima had the advantage on the curvy parts of the track because it has anti-lock brakes and better handling overall. It can maintain higher speeds on the tracks, on the curves, I mean, without losing control. So, since we have it at that, I got one more question for you guys. Which Pessima do you think was better, the new one or the old one? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video. This is my first, video that isn't like gameplay or anything, something out of the ordinary. If you like it, drop a like. If you don't, dislike it. Completely fine. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to know when I post a new upload, at least once a week. And with that, I'm just going to let you guys go. So this is Delta, signing off for now. You guys have a good night.